tonight, Donald Trump won most of the important states on the Republican side and cemented his significant lead on the Republican side. Whether that means he can win the nomination outright is a totally different question. John will give you some delegate math on that in a second. But he did mention today that he had a, was it terrific? Or no, he had a tremendous phone call. Tremendous phone call.
It was tremendous.
With Paul Ryan.
That phone call lifted
Wonderful.
Right.
Yeah.
Tremendous phone call with Paul Ryan. I just realized what Donald Trump is. He's a hypnotist. He's hypnotizing the country by repeating things over and over again, right? That's a power of suggestion, right? Now, I don't know how a phone call is tremendous, but I do know that call is relevant. He then went on to say he talked to Mitch McConnell. Why is it relevant? That's the Republican Party leadership.
Buckling.
Bowing their head. They're doing this, okay? And next thing you know, they're going to be standing behind him like that poor schmuck Chris Christie. And they're all going to line up right behind him. And the pivotal moment in this campaign, if it concludes with Donald Trump getting the nomination, as it looks like he's likely to do after tonight, was that last debate. The last Republican debate where instead of attacking him, it had rattled him, and Donald Trump was backpedaling from the penis talk. He was backpedaling from the Nazi salute and the KKK talk and the David Duke talk, right? They let him off. They just let him up off the mat. He got back up. They didn't attack him. The donors told Marco Rubio very clearly, and he seems equally clearly to Ted Cruz, don't attack him anymore. And they surrendered when they had him. Like, it doesn't mean that they were definitely going to beat him, but it was going to be a contest. He was reeling. He was losing in the polling. He had dropped. We had shown it on the show. And it looked like there was a turning point because he went too far with the KKK and all that talk. And they let him get right back up. So the cowardly Republican establishment, who's filled with order takers and who's filled with people who are used to bowing their heads and telling the donors, yes, what would you like, sir? What would you like, sir? They saw the alpha male in the room, and just when they knocked him off his pedestal a little bit, they went back to their instinct of like this. And so Paul Ryan having his tremendous call with Donald Trump earlier and Mitch McConnell, and the results of Trump now winning Florida, 99 delegates, all his, winner take all. He won North Carolina, and yes, he lost in Ohio, but Kasich, I'm not sure he's going to win another state, right? So Kasich beating Trump in Ohio, how relevant is that? And Donald Trump also won in Illinois. Those are big, big victories. So a lot of the delegates going forward, or a lot of the states going forward on the Republican side is winner takes all. And so that might be Donald Trump. And so that debate is where they laid down, and it couldn't have been more important in my opinion. So nonetheless, how many of the delegates does he have to win going forward to win the majority?
That I don't know exactly. I do know that the estimates of whether he is still on track to be able to pass 50%. From just a little bit earlier on tonight, Nate Silver was saying that it's largely going to come down to exactly how the vote is distributed across Missouri, because the way they do it, you winning the majority of the vote inside individual congressional districts awards you a couple of delegates. So theoretically, if the vote is distributed in certain ways, you can get tons of votes in one area and just get a couple of delegates, win very, very narrowly in another area and get just as many delegates. And so right now, the vote is almost exactly tied between Ted Cruz and Donald Trump there, but you could end up in a case where the delegates swing in a large way from one to the other. And so if he does very poorly in Missouri, then he will probably be a little bit off in comparison to where he was at before tonight in terms of being able to hit 50%, meaning Ohio had done its job. And it certainly is better either way that he didn't win it. But a lot of it is going to come down to exactly how Missouri works out. And Nate Silver just tweeted out that historically Missouri is slow to report results, and so it might be a very long time until we know exactly how it goes.
But he still has to win an overwhelming majority of...
Yeah, he already, before today, he already had to win something like 54, 56% of all of the delegates. And now that is probably going to be a little bit higher after today.
Right.
That he'll have to.
So it's not easy to win. Let's say earlier we had a number, 59% of the delegates going forward, right? But since 65% of the states going forward are winner take all, right? well, that makes it a little easier.
Yeah.
And so now that Marco Rubio is out, well, Ted Cruz could have picked up a lot of his votes. That's entirely possible, right? Because Marco Rubio supporters seems like they'd be hard pressed to vote for Donald Trump. I mean,
Yeah.
Marco Rubio really, really did not like Donald Trump and made his case completely against Donald Trump. So if Cruz picks up some of those guys and they had kept punching Donald Trump, I think we'd have really had a good race here. As
Yeah.
it stands, they let him get some momentum, and now it's their job is going to be much harder. But they could hold him at bay so he doesn't get 50% of the delegates. They would have a chance of unifying 51, 52, whatever percentage of delegates that everybody else has combined into another candidate, and that would be one way to defeat Trump. So it's not over in that sense.
It's definitely not. Yeah, this was a good night for Donald Trump so far, even if Missouri is very close. But it wasn't the night that he ideally would have liked to have had.